If like me, you've just returned to New World or thinking of doing so, this is probably the best time to do it. With the new Brimstone Sands update coming out next month, it's going to be a high level area but expand the map massively. So to do so, I've put together 20 of the best tips that I've learned over the last 200 hours of playing to ensure that you get to level 60 or get all the resources and equipment you need to ensure that you can actually play Brimstone Sands the day it releases. Leveling up in New World can take a bit of time if you go the wrong route. Now, I found personally the best way to do this was to do the township boards in all the towns, making sure I went for the high level XP ones only and refreshing the lower ones. Things like finding and locating new areas, I wouldn't bother with them, I'll just refresh them because they don't give a lot of XP back. Now, doing the main quest line is by far the best way to get XP because you can go up to 10-15k XP at a time, so just bear with it and push through. You also get XP for killing the Lost or just skinning anything in particular in the world. If you can, try and get with a high level player. If you get someone who's been playing the game, tag along with them, just one hit some enemies in higher level areas and you will get XP, and it will also help the XP of your weapons as well. New World, like all MMOs, has a carry limit per character based on weight, not slots. Now, the way around this, early game, if you put some points into strength as shown, you can actually increase that weight limit. Also, they've got the bag system which open different slots for you to have a maximum of 3 bags as you're leveling up. But what's unique and what I like to use a lot is the storage system. Each town has its own storage limit. Now, there is a bit of a alteration if you have a house with a chest, which I'll go into later, which will increase that limit even more. But when you're buying bags, etc., make sure you try and get ones with a decent perk. Now, bags can range in cost depending on the server you're on. People know that people need bags early on, so they go for a good price. It's best to try and shop around and try and get the best one that suits you for the level you are at just now. And just remember, you can't resell it after you've bought it because it's bound to you as a player. If like me, you chose gathering as one of your main attributes to try and generate gold, you can actually get potions that help you gather more for a set amount of time. This is a good investment to make if, I said, the marketplace is where you want to start selling all your gathered goods. One really good tip that I didn't actually know was a thing until very recently is you can get free stashes extremely quickly every single day just by hitting trees. Now, I'm not sure if you can get these by hitting rocks or not. I just always do it straight away, hitting trees. You can see the first 2 I get it straight away. I've cut 2 trees that I hit, then in the third one I got it again. This is very good because it's easy gold and it also gives you some gypsum. Now, gypsum we'll go into later, but it's critical to get as much of it as possible to allow you to get your gear score up really high later in game. In New World, low level farming resources can actually be quite profitable. Now, early game, you're not going to be able to hit any high level trees or high level nodes, so it's worth banking the experience and taking it back, converting it into something like charcoal or bricks, put it on the market or find someone who's looking to buy it, because a lot of the high level players spend their time farming high level resources and just purchase the low level ones to save themselves in time. It's easy to do. It's something that I've done early game constantly to try and get my level up for my mining, and it worked really well for me, and I made quite a lot of gold doing it as well, because people are always looking for this sort of stuff, because some people are lazy and some people just try and focus their time elsewhere, which is more profitable for them. Within New World, there are 3 main factions. Which one you choose is completely up to you, but I would suggest that you look at the server you're on, which is the more dominant, because you can join anyone first of all, but to change it's trickier to do so if you're trying to change the more dominant one in the actual server itself. But changes are coming to the faction system and how the townships work, so bear that in mind. Now, the key things about these are you get faction points, reputation, which go up in levels, and every time you hit the next level you have to carry out an elite kill task to move to the next stage. But most importantly, you get tokens. The tokens can be spent in the faction shop. Early game I used these to buy potions mainly, and in the old days before expeditions changed, the keys to get into expeditions. But As you progress and get to max level, you can get Gypsum stones. Now these are key, as I said before, to ensure you can get your gear score to the maximum level possible, and it's extremely important to make sure that you try and tie in your township tasks with your faction tasks, so you effectively double XP. And the first free task that you do is 10 times on any of the XP that you carry out for the factions. In game in New World, it's all about gear score. It's about improving it and getting to 625 on every single item, including your jewellery. Now, to do so, I found to get to 600 in every item, the quickest way to do it was elite runs and expeditions. You get gear from the chests, and randomly it will give you gear scoring. Now that can go from an expertise of 1 to the highest I've had is 7 per item. It's long, it takes a while, but that's where the gypsum comes in, and I'll go through that later. It's a long task to do, but don't worry, you can find groups and elite runs anywhere in the map at any time in the server. People run them all the time, so the key is to just keep doing it, and there's no limit that I know of gear score that can be achieved per day just from doing elite runs and doing the expeditions. In New World, there's a lot of skills to progress in. I focused mainly on mining, stone cutting and smelting, basically because I wanted to get the highest level of smelting, because I seen that as an easy way to make good gold, which I'll show you later. Now, my thought process was everyone's going to need high level metals and they're going to need high level stones for equipment, and so far it's bagging me round about 30k gold a week just by smelting, mining, doing all the normal things. It's very, very good for generating gold quickly. I need to work on my other skills, yes, but early game I knew gold was going to be the main thing I needed to buy equipment, so that led me down the path of doing what I did, and it's worked out very profitable for me so far. In New World, it can be quite daunting trying to find all the resources that you need. I found this website extremely helpful to help me progress and create some routes for farming, which I'll go into later. Now, because it shows every single element of the map in a filtered section, you can plan your day or your session that you're going to play specifically for what you want to get, to save you running about aimlessly. The world in New World is huge, it's absolutely massive. Mounts are coming, yes, but even when they're in, you really need to keep your eyes open to see what's around you. It's just a very vast world, so this website helps dramatically if you're very destined to try and do as much as you can in terms of gathering. Staying on the theme of gathering, it's worthwhile making little routes. I did this using the website, finding the best areas for what I want for high level stone mining and sticking to them. Now each server may be different. I'll do a video separate from this on these routes specifically and what you can get, because each server is different. Some people might already use those routes, but these routes that I've shown now are generally quite empty on the server I play, because most people are in different zones or don't know about them, and I play in the highest pop European server, so it's not as if they couldn't be found. But it's key to keep a same route, find a route, memorise it and keep running it, because you can repeatedly run it for half an hour and gain massively from it, especially if you have the right equipment on and using potions. In New World, it utilises trophies. These can be hung in your house, which I'll go into later on how to get a house, but they are very useful to use. Now, I didn't use them for a large amount of time, and when I did, I felt the benefit massively. Now, to get these, honestly, unless you want to grind it out, I'd probably just buy them, especially low level ones to get you started. Then specifically find one you want and go and farm it. There's plenty of videos out there and guides how to do it. If I can think of one that's key, I might do it myself, but honestly, just buy the smaller ones until you get to the right value you want, because they are expensive, extremely expensive. Players know that you want them, so they price them very, very high. Equipment perks are very, very highly used and sought after in New World. It's what makes equipment high level equipment to a useless bit of equipment. Now early game, honestly, I think having luck, haste and having some sort of mining or farming perk in there is key, because a lot of that is what you'll be doing. But as you grow your build and decide what you want to do, it's worth finding guides of which perks amplify what you're trying to achieve. Now, The better the perks, the more expensive it's going to be unless you're the person crafting it, so bear that in mind. Don't make the mistake I did and just buy something going by the gear score very early on, because it become a very expensive mistake. Utilise the perks best as you can for what you want to do, and just remember you're going to be using that equipment for a long time, so ensure that it's the right choice you make. Don't do what I did. Honestly, I wasted about 40,000 gold putting a whole kit together, then realising it was absolute crap. Not buying a house soon enough in New World was a huge mistake that I made. I showed you the storage and how I use it across all different towns, but that can take a while to get around places, and as you progress you're going to get more and more stuff. As you've seen, I do a lot of smelting, so I have a lot of heavy items within there. The beauty of having a house is two things. One, it gives you an extra fast travel from anywhere in the map, which can be reset from using Azoth, but secondly, you can place a chest in your house and it can give you up to 1,000 extra weight capacity for your storage in that town. Don't buy a big massive house, you don't need it, honestly. Just buy the cheapest one. That's what I did. Haven't changed from it, won't change from it. All I do is put my storage, some crap, and my trophies in there. Honestly, it's worth its weight in gold for that storage. Make sure you put your house in a town which has got high level crafting tables, salvage, the lot. Honestly, it's worth its weight in gold. It's something I wish I did so much earlier in the game. The big complaint players have is getting Azoth, but honestly it's not that hard. The Azoth I'm showing just now is in low level areas. As you kill or harvest or skin in high level areas, you actually get a lot more Azoth. So just by playing the game, mining, farming, working your skills, you actually get quite a lot. Now there is talk from the dev updates that they're going to be reducing the cost for fast travelling, which uses Azoth as well. So honestly, don't worry, you might use a lot of it moving around, but you can easily get it back. It's not hard to get. Within the settings, there's an extremely useful setting which shows your cooldowns in the middle of your screen for your abilities. Now this is extremely useful, especially if you're soloing elites, etc. It gives you an indication of when to do your combo. Now I've only found this out probably about 2 weeks into playing again, and since I found it I've always used it. It's extremely useful to use, and it's extremely good in PvP as well, because it gives you a good indication of when is best to attack. Gaining reputation in the towns in your world is critical. Honestly, it's something you should do as much as you can because the benefits outweigh anything else. Seriously, just doing the quests from the town boards, doing quests from people in the actual town itself, closing corruption breaches gets you reputation points. Now this gives you gathering speed, faction point increase. Honestly, it's so beneficial, especially if it's an area you're going to be in for a long time. I have high storage in my main one simply because that's where I do all my crafting, etc. Other ones I've got gathering in certain areas. The benefits just outweigh not doing it. Honestly, it's very much something you should do straight away. In New World, if your faction holds a town, you can get free resources. Now these aren't major, but all the same, they can be quite useful, especially if you're in that town quite a lot. Just nip by, grab it. Some towns have iron ore. This one has milk and honey. As you go through the different areas, if your faction owns it, just grab it. Honestly, it's free. You can use it somehow, or just put it in the market and get some quick, easy gold. Now, I am not a big MMO fishing type of player. Don't usually like it. However, it can be actually quite profitable in New World. A lot of fresh fish fillet can be sold at high prices, especially for newer players, because it's one of the town quests where they have to get 20 fillets. A lot of players take advantage of it and sell them for a decent price. Not only that, you can get clams which have pearls in them, different variants of them which can sell for quite a lot actually, and most of all you can get treasure chests. Now these treasure chests can hold gypsum, can hold gold coins, you name it. So if you don't mind it and you want to find a decent location and just work in your fishing, it can actually be quite profitable for you. In New World, as I mentioned, gypsum and gear are key. Now there are certain locations across the map, this is just one that I'm going to show you, where gypsum drops. You only get a set amount of gypsum drop per day. that you then take to one of the northern territories, which you can put the gypsum converter and change it to that element. You won't need to know anything about that in a minute, but I'll do a video more in depth on that later. But you always find groups of loot goblins at these sites, so don't worry if you are lower level, just get one hit, get the drop. If you can, try and invite people to a group, because it helps a lot better and there's more viability of getting a drop. I didn't know about this for ages. I found it by complete random accident, and since then I always make a point of doing it every single day to help me get my gear score improved. For returning players, repair kits used to be a thing. Now you don't have to worry about them. That was a painful exercise, one of the biggest gripes I had with the game when it first came out. Now you can just salvage all the loot that you get. Majority of the stuff you're going to get is absolute crap, so don't worry about it, just get rid of it. Very easy to do. You can have a max of components of 2000. Just anytime you get anything that's not worth anything, just get rid of it. Simple as that. So guys, that is my 20 tips that I found most useful can come back to New World. It took me a while to compile this. I had other ones, but I thought these were the more useful ones to use. Definitely, I've said if you're thinking of coming back, now is the time to do it. I love the game. It is extremely enjoyable. I like the third person MMO style. It works for me. The world is beautiful. I love actually exploring it and finding new things, and it's a very friendly environment as well. Chat is very clean. You don't get any aggro from people, and people are always there to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.